See, for class of teachers like all of us, sometimes we feel it. It's a classroom need. At times, most of us feel it, that breaking of autonomy, this monotony in the classrooms, it becomes very essential. So just we take diversions for a while, for a minute or two in the class, in order to generate interest among the class of students who are before you. So stimulating them or motivating them to know about these biographical sketches, know the biographies of different scientists. How did they work? Their success stories, their failures. These things indeed help us to motivate the students, to the youngsters, to do their things, to do their job very seriously and sincerely. And then many times we can also pick up some threads, as we'll be trying to pick up some threads from the history of this Nobel Prize, which help us in planning our own things, in making our efforts more productive, more meaningful. We will start with the biographical sketch or of Nobel Prize. I'll share of Alfred Nobel. I'll share screen with you. First slide is not still, is it visible? No.
No, sir, not yet.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it's visible. Please put the slideshow on.
Is it all right now?
Yes, sir, it's all right. Please continue.
So this is the title, Nobel Prize, History and the Controversies. We'll see how it was instituted, how Alfred Nobel contributed immense wealth to institute this prize. But at the same time, we will try to find out, to locate the controversies right from its inception till date. There have been so many controversies revolving this Nobel Prize, especially Nobel Prize in Peace, Nobel Prize in Literature, even a couple of Nobel Prizes in Science were the focus of many critics. Those prizes invited a lot of criticism all over the world. So before drawing before drawing a summary of those controversies, we would like to have a cursory look on the life of Alfred Nobel. His complete name was Alfred Bernhard Nobel. Born in Stockholm on 23rd of October 1833. Scientific historians say that his parents had 8 children at all, but only 4 out of those survived, and all the 4 were sons of Emmanuel and Henriette Nobel. Emmanuel Nobel and Henriette Nobel. And he was last but one. He had one brother who was younger to him, and 2 were elder to him. Maybe it may look funny that what's the need to know all these things about Alfred Nobel? But 2 of his brothers, we'll just see in the subsequent slides, 2 of his brothers died. He saw their deaths and one of them had the death of one of his brothers did prove in a way turning point in the history in the life of Alfred Nobel. Their family background, they were involved in construction business, wherein they handled detonating materials, because say mining, the blasting of for construction of roads, for construction of buildings, it's a common activity. Blasting is a common activity, so they were more interested or involved in handling, in using those detonating materials. As it's evident from the slide, they were involved in construction business, wherein mine blasting, wherein they used to make this gunpowder. They used gunpowder as this detonating material. And their business was going on very well. But unfortunately, just after the birth of Alfred Nobel, the family suffered great losses, because the boats, or what they call in barges, what the scientific history about, what the history about Alfred Nobel says us, that those boats, large boats, they are known as barges, containing these construction materials. Those boats, as those barges, they sank, resulting in heavy loss to this family. It was immediately after the birth of Alfred Nobel. And as a result of this loss, this misfortune, the family had to shift to earn their livelihood. They shifted. Since this Sweden, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, these are three adjoining countries, and at a time, there was a time when these three countries were known as Scandinavia, or even today, these are known as Scandinavian countries. So there are reports that this family, particularly only the Alfred Nobel, he kept his family there in Stockholm, Sweden. But personally, Alfred Nobel shifted to initially to Finland, which was just adjoining, and then later on he shifted to St. Petersburg in Russia. And there he established his unit, where he started a business little bit, which was different than that construction business in which they were originally, his parents were originally involved. In fact, his parents shifted to St. Petersburg, leaving his family there in Sweden. So there they started a different type of business, which was more in what you call manufacture of armaments. Particularly, they designed naval mines there. Emmanuel, the father of Alfred Nobel, he demonstrated the significance of these naval mines to Russian army officers, that how it can detonate underwater and can protect you from the invading enemies. Once they started their business, and that business too started flourishing very well. And as a result of this flourishing of their business, Alfred Nobel shifted his family along with this Alfred Nobel. In 1842, they shifted to St. Petersburg. As a result of good income, he tried to give good education to his children, particularly the Alfred Nobel. Health-wise, Alfred Nobel was the weakest of four siblings of the family. He was the weakest, and naturally he received more attention in terms of, say, healthcare and all that. What are the famous influences in the life of Alfred Nobel? Once They shifted to St. Petersburg. He got some basic education plus some preliminary education in chemistry at St. Petersburg. And after that, once Emmanuel Nobel found that Alfred Nobel was very much interested in this chemistry and he was very innovative, he sent him to there are reports to 4 countries, which includes his native country, his native place of Sweden, Germany, USA, and France for initial education, where he got formal education in chemistry. And during his visits to these 4 countries, he came in contact with some renowned scientists who had made remarkable contributions in their respective fields, particularly the chemistry. I have just listed a couple of scientists in chemistry here only. One is Thomas G. Pelosi. Alfred Nobel met him in Paris. And Alfred got so influenced, so much impressed by Pelosi that in subsequent times, he spent most of his life in Paris. So that was the influence of this first gentleman, Pelosi. Then please wait for a while. So what have been the important influences? About one is I'm just trying to get back to my original slide.
So you can press the arrow key on your keyboard.
Just I'm going. I'm just back to my slide. We were here, I suppose. No. Yes, we are here.
Yes,
So
sir.
the first was who impressed him, first chemist who influenced Alfred, that was Pelosi. And that's why, because of that influence, he spent most of his subsequent life in Paris. Another person whose influence was very prominent or paramount was Ascanio Sobrero, who was an Italian chemist and the person who synthesized. I'm just seeing another rough track here because there is no electricity. I will have to shift it to another point. That is, so please bear with me. I'll have to put it on inverted. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. So second person was Ascanio Sobrero. He was an Italian chemist, and the person who was responsible for or who synthesized nitroglycerin first. Nitroglycerin is, I suppose, synthesized by treating mm, glycerine with hydrochloric acid or nitric acid or both these acids. And the original synthesizer, original person who synthesized, who prepared this nitroglycerine, that is Sobrero, he knew about the explosive power of the nitroglycerine, but he ruled out that we cannot put it to any practical use. We cannot, he ruled out its applications. And this thing remained in the mind of Alfred Nobel for a pretty long time, or at least up to a stage when he put it to some practical use, to some application. Alfred Nobel, when he put it to some use. So this was an important influence. Sobrero ruled out that we cannot put it to any practical application because it was highly explosive. So this was one important point which Alfred Nobel carried with him when he returned back to Sweden to start his work independently. And then another person who had influenced Alfred Nobel was John Ericsson, who was basically a Swedish American engineer. So, as I told you, in St. Petersburg, this family was involved in manufacture, in construction of armaments. Those of us who have studied history, they might be knowing about this Crimean War, which was between Russia and some European bloc. And it was basically the power centers in Europe who were interested to capture those what you call Ottoman Empire, which included part of or whole of the Turkey and some other adjoining areas. So it was initiated because of that struggle of some European powers. It started in 1853 and ended in 1855. And as I told you, this family was interested in manufacture and sale and business of armaments. So the market flourished during this period when this war started in 53 and ended somewhere in 55 or 56. These 3 years where their business flourished in St. Petersburg. But with when the war was over, market for this weaponry, it declined. And this scientific historians write this was the second bankruptcy of this sank along with that construction material. And the second bankruptcy was when this war ended and there was a remarkable decline in the sale of these armaments. And as a result of which, Emanuel had to return back to Sweden in 1959. So with this, Alfred Nobel also returned to Stockholm in 1861. Initially, he had returned to St. Petersburg, but once his parents, they shifted back to Stockholm, Sweden, Alfred too had to return back in 1861, where he worked on safe use of nitroglycerin. As I told you that one of the major influences, a famous chemist, Sobrero, who had just concluded that we cannot put nitroglycerin to some use. He worked on that because initially their family business pertained to construction, and they made frequent use of those detonating materials. And he started that, yes, we can put it to such uses, but provided we can handle it safely. Then he worked on, once he returned back to Sweden, Stockholm, he worked on different materials. His major activities, research activities, they revolved around this making a blend or mixing some inert materials with nitroglycerin so that we can handle it safely. So he used this brick powder, sawdust, shredded paper, and so many other materials he used with this nitroglycerin in order to make it safe so that they can store it, they can handle it, it can be handled, stored easily. And accordingly, he worked on many other materials. And first patent was blasting oil, which was a detonating material based on nitroglycerin. First, this patent of Alfred Nobel was blasting oil. And you will be surprised, the total number of patents at the time of death of Alfred Nobel, it exceeded 350. So you can imagine, out of these patents, how much wealth he might have accumulated. Stockholm tragedy. As I told you, they were interested in handling, not only handling, but even manufacture of these explosives. And explosions, such types of accidents, it was a common feature in this manufacturing activity or in their business. So in one of the accidents, Alfred Nobel lost his younger brother. But many odds in the life of Alfred Nobel, which includes loss of his brother and some other odds, those didn't prevent Alfred Nobel from doing things which were very new, which were innovative. Those couldn't stop Alfred Nobel. Or say in business, it didn't become any constraint for Alfred Nobel. So he continued to explore new markets for his blasting material, because this was that period when the period of industrialization. So naturally, the use of such types of material was very extensive. Say, as I told you, the frequent accidents, it was the regular feature of or frequent feature of the manufacturing activity of Alfred Nobel and his family. So naturally, he had to face the anger of the people because of these accidents, that people were of the opinion that Alfred Nobel should stop this manufacture or handling or business of these explosives. And at the same time, state or government agencies used to impose taxes on him, which were more than that which other manufacturers were paying. And because of these accidents, government was charging more taxes from such types of manufacturing activities. Then social pressures were there that Alfred should dismantle, he should stop all these activities and shift from that region. Then invention of dynamite. So just after this blasting oil, the safe work or research on safe handling of nitroglycerin, it continued. Alfred Nobel continued this for almost decades till he invented or till he prepared dynamite. Say, once this market was growing for these detonators, these detonating materials, Alfred established a plant in Hamburg, Germany. And from there, he just, you can say it became hub of the manufacture of this detonating material. And from there, exports increased to different countries. And he synthesized, he prepared more those explosives. And once he saw that market was growing, he established a manufacturing company even in US in 1866. And while exporting nitroglycerin to different countries, Alfred used a type of diatomaceous earth. What you see here is identification of Kisselgauer. It's a diatomaceous earth. Those of you who are from chemistry, they may be knowing it, that we use this as, say, filtering aid. Say, in fruit juices also, it doesn't react much with those liquid foods like fruit juice, etc. This has been used as a filtering aid in fruit juices also. So Alfred was using this diatomaceous earth, which is known as Kisselgauer. He used this as a cushioning material while exporting nitroglycerin. While using this as a cushioning material, he found that it has very good pasting properties and it can easily be mixed with nitroglycerin. And this was another turning point in the business, in the history of business of Alfred Nobel, because this was the most suitable material which he was searching for to mix with nitroglycerin so as to make it safe, so as to store it safely. So identification of Kisselgauer was one of the important achievements of Alfred Nobel. He mixed it with nitroglycerin. That's what he named as dynamite. So dynamite is mixture of nitroglycerin plus this diatomaceous Kisselgauer. So with the invention of many other detonating materials, particularly this dynamite, and now it was easy to handle, easy to store, his business expanded remarkably. It expanded, and he established plants in many other countries, particularly Scotland, France, Sweden, Italy. And it's reported that 90 factories were established in more than 20 countries. You can see how much his business might have established. Two nicknames. दो नाम अल्फ्रेड नोबेल को दिए गए हैं अपनी जिंदगी में. One is richest vagabond of Europe. Because of his business, it was a requirement for him that he used to travel very frequently. Probably those days शायद to travel to far off places शायद इतना आसान नहीं रहा होगा जितना हम आज इसको देखते हैं. So common people who found Alfred traveling extensively, they named him richest vagabond of Europe. And then second nickname which was given to Alfred Nobel was merchant of death. unintentional explosions, तो इसलिए इसको मर्चेंट ऑफ डेथ के नाम से भी लोग पुकारते थे अल्फ्रेड नोबेल को. Is it audible?
Yes, yes, sir. It's
डॉक्टर
audible.
गिर, हम
Yes,
क्योंकि
yes, sir.
बीच में मुझे दिखा रहा है कि इंटरनेट कनेक्शन इज डिसरप्टिंग.
No, it's going
Displays.
fine.
Okay,
What-
okay,
Just a brief 1 or 2 second interruption was there, but
okay,
now it's
okay. So these were two nicknames which were given to Alfred Nobel: richest vagabond of Europe because he was traveling very frequently, and second is that because of deaths, explosions, frequent those accidents, इसको merchant of death भी कहते थे. And because of his influence of the some teachers, particularly the professor of chemistry, he lived most of his life in Paris. After his famous inventions of dynamite and other detonating materials, he lived most of his life in Paris. And from there, he used to make frequent visits to different laboratories in different countries where he worked on different materials, say artificial rubber and so many other materials he worked on. And he invented two other materials, detonating materials after this dynamite, were gelatin and blastite. See, there was bitterness of relations with France. French government के साथ he had some strain in relations. Why? Because when his business flourished, or when he just invented some new these detonating materials, he offered this blastite to France, which was declined. The government of France, or the army of France, they declined his offer, and subsequently he sold these blastite rights to Italy. And the relations between Italy and France during that period were not good, and this transaction infuriated government of the French government. And because of this strain in relations, or they branded him as a traitor because of his deal or his transactions with Italy. French government decided that he must leave, and as a result of which, in 1891, Alfred Nobel has to leave, and he settled in Italy. Finally, he died. He also died in Italy. Alfred Nobel, a loner in the company of people. Most of the group, I suppose, it comprises of people from science only. You may be knowing it, that Alfred Nobel, he remained unmarried throughout his life. And further, he had some unhappy experiences of life. Because of being very wealthy, he had some bitter experiences about politicians, about these lawyers, advocates, etc. So he had those unhappy experiences, as a result of which he had many acquaintances, but he had no close friends. दुनिया की इतनी इस भीड़ में Alfred Nobel फिर भी अकेला ही था. And he remained unmarried throughout his life. This is not the forum, not the time to discuss about the romantic dimensions of Alfred Nobel's life. But few things which we would like to make mention, which we would like to mention about one lady who did play some important role in institution of the Nobel Prize. Three important women were in his life. One was first in Paris at early stage, that was in 1852. But this relation didn't last for a longer period of time because of the death of that lady. And second lady is the most important one, that is Countess Bertha Kensky. When Alfred Nobel's business, when it expanded remarkably, Alfred Nobel became very rich, and he thought that there must be someone to extend some sort of assistance to him who would take care of his estates, he just published a notification in Viennese newspaper. A person well versed with language, secretarial, those skills, etc. And he gave this advertisement in a newspaper. And one lady, Countess Bertha Kensky, she responded, and finally Alfred Nobel selected her. Immediately after her joining, Alfred Nobel had to leave for some business trip. But once he returned after about, say, a fortnight or so, to his surprise, he saw that Bertha Kensky had left. She was not there. But their relations continued. Beyond this departure, their relations still continued. And she had an important, she was a peace activist. One more thing, because why she had left, she was already engaged and she got married, but relations with Alfred Nobel continued. As I told you, Bertha Kensky, she was a peace activist and didn't like Alfred Nobel's business of explosives. She objected many times to Alfred Nobel about her about the manufacture of these explosives. But Alfred Nobel too, to a great extent, she was in a position to conquer him and change the mindset of Alfred Nobel. There were two important turning points in the life of Alfred Nobel. One, I told you that his brother, who died in that explosion, and because of some mistake, press carried a report that Alfred Nobel died in that explosion. Whereas Alfred Nobel was alive, but his brother had died in that accident, in that explosion. And the Merchant of Death, which we discussed a while back, the headlines in the French newspapers appeared that the Merchant of Death is no more. In a way, you can see that Alfred Nobel saw his obituary himself when he was alive, which he didn't want. कि वो ये कहता था कि लोग उसको इस तरीके से याद ना करें, but he should be remembered for good. So this was one turning point in instituting Nobel Prize को कायम करने के लिए. ये एक turning point बना. And second turning point was Bertha Kensky. She influenced Alfred Nobel, changed its mindset about the business of explosives, जिसको फिर Alfred Nobel ने वक्फ किया उन लोगों के लिए जो इंसानी भलाई के लिए काम करें, those who contribute remarkably for human welfare. So that's why I made mention of these three. And the last was the Sophie Hess. Of course, this relation lasted for 18 years. But again, she was not that cultured, that well-read a lady that which could suit Alfred Nobel. Then the last will, what were the influences? Now you can, having at the time of death, having more than 350 patents, you can imagine how wealthy Alfred Nobel was at the time of his death. So what were the major influences? Last will jo iski thi, which culminated in institution of this, in establishing this Nobel Prize. What were those influencing factors? One is Bertha Kensky, जिन्होंने Alfred Nobel की सोच को बदल डाला about this war, about manufacture of these explosives. And second influencing factor was the mistaken obituary. Because of the death of his brother, newspapers carried that Alfred Nobel is no more. And he saw that people were not thinking good about Alfred Nobel. And then he had no descendants. These were three major factors जिससे अल्फ्रेड नोबेल ने अपनी सारी दौलत को वक्फ किया फॉर नोबेल प्राइज. एंड ही क्रिएटेड एन एंडोमेंट, एक ट्रस्ट उसने कायम किया. ये सारा उसने अपनी लास्ट विल में, दिस लास्ट विल ही डिड राइट in his own handwriting, and this will was opened after his death. These were creation of endowment was one component of that will, and the proceeds or the interests which his wealth would earn or gain, that can be, as per his will, that it should be distributed to those who contribute for human welfare. जो भी दौलत, जो भी इससे इंटरेस्ट आ जाए, उसको बांटा जाए between those people who contribute for human welfare. You can just see how much was this wealth was kept in that, or was contributed for this endowment, was contributed for this trust by Alfred Nobel. Those days, 33 million Swedish crowns. 33 million. I can't say how much it becomes in terms of US dollars or Indian currency. $33 million at about 1895 or so. सिर्फ $2 million उसकी फैमिली को दिया गया, उसके लवाहिकीन को दिया गया. And it became a major controversy at that time in Sweden, that 33 million is earmarked for that trust and just 2 million for his legal heirs. Trusted ones of Alfred Nobel. Two persons whom Alfred Nobel trusted the most, and the first one was more trusted than the second one, was Ragnar Solman. Second was Rudolf Liljequist. They were given the responsibility that after the death, this was in the last will of Alfred Nobel, he authorized them to establish this trust, or rather to execute the will of Alfred Nobel. And the first person, Solman, he had to face a lot of difficulties in establishing this trust. As I told you, in more than 20 countries, he had established his assets, he has established his manufacturing units. It was an uphill task for any person to execute that will, to consolidate that whole wealth. उस सारी दौलत को एक ही जगह समेटना, स्वीडन में जमा करना, it was indeed an uphill task. And under those circumstances, when the Solman had to face his relatives who were against this establishment of this trust, and then another controversy which did arise at that time was that when Solman tried to collect his assets from France, French government also objected that he had spent most of his time here in our country. जो भी वो दौलत है उस पे हुकूमत फ्रांस का हक है. And somehow the advocate, जो वकील, who was working for Solman, उसने French constitution में कहीं ये पाया कि a person's home is there where his horses are. As I told you, उन दिनों शायद रस्र रसायल एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जाने के लिए वसाइल इतने वसी नहीं थे जितने हम आजकल देखते हैं. People used to make waterways से जाते थे, railways से जाते थे, even horse carts, horse driven carts से जाते थे. So Alfred Nobel had some horses which used to drive his carts, or he used to take those horses for Sunday trip. But somehow those horses were shifted to from France to Sweden before the death of Alfred Nobel. तो जब वकील ने ये देखा, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ये देखा, person's home is there where his horses are, so this provided him some sort of relief. No, his home is not in Paris, it is in Sweden, Stockholm. So Solman and his colleague, they collected all those assets. So those bonds in the form of bonds or other physical assets, they consolidated in Sweden and established Nobel Foundation. Then the subjects, it is as per the wish, as per the will of Alfred Nobel. फिजिक्स में इसको कायम किया गया नोबेल प्राइज को, केमिस्ट्री में इसको कायम किया गया, फिजियोलॉजी और मेडिसिन, आई एम सॉरी इट इज मिसस्पेल्ड देयर, लिटरेचर एंड पीस. पीस में बर्था केंस्की, that lady about whom we just discussed a while back, she had played an important role in establishing. Initially, peace was not in the list of subjects in which carried Nobel Prize, but this Bertha Kensky, she played an important role, convinced Alfred Nobel, and peace was included in the list of subjects that in which Nobel Prize was to be awarded. And most of us have this notion that there is Nobel Prize in economics also, whereas there is no Nobel Prize in economics. But Nobel Prize in economics, some prize in economics, it was established in, it was instituted in 1968 as a say mark of respect for Alfred Nobel. Otherwise, ये Nobel Prize नहीं है. और ये prize, this prize in economics is given along with the Nobel Prize in physics, chemistry, physiology, literature, and peace. Then controversies surrounding Nobel Prize. 1895 से लेकर आज तक ये बाइस इख्तिलाफ रहा है. कई सारे, चाहे वो साइंटिस्ट थे, आम लोग थे, या political circles में, this has always remained, Nobel Prize has always remained in the controversy. Just I have tried to outline some important controversy. Misogynist attitude of committee, that is, had something against ladies. The Nobel Committee, this is just a perception in different political circles, different academic circles, intellectual circles, that Nobel Committee had, they are more say सनफ नाजुक के तई कुछ नेगेटिव एटीट्यूड, लेडीज के तई कुछ नेगेटिव एटीट्यूड है. That's one perception among the people. That's why there are not much ladies are the list. Now it might have crossed 900 by now. The total number of Nobel laureates right from this institution till date, 900 से ज्यादा Nobel laureates की फहरिस्त में शायद खवातीन की तादाद ज्यादा नहीं है. तो the reason being given by some circles is that misogynist attitude of the committee. And Jocelyn Bell Burnell, that she's being quoted as an example why this committee is more say biased. They are against ladies, they are biased towards the men. Jocelyn Bell Burnell की example दी जाती है, जिसने who gave the concept or who identified the pulsars. Those from physics can understand about, they know better than me about these pulsars. She was a PhD scholar. Bell Burnell was Jocelyn Bell Burnell was a PhD scholar. जबकि उसके सुपरवाइजर को नोबेल प्राइज मिला without any mention of this scholar Burnell. And then contentious peace prizes. Peace prizes जो भी आज तक दिए हैं हमेशा उनके fingers have been raised almost to many of the peace prizes. And nomination, another this controversy that has surrounded Nobel Prize nomination of Adolf Hitler. Hitler was also nominated for Nobel Prize. Of course, that nomination was later on withdrawn. And one of the interesting, बहुत ही दिलकश एक पहलू है इस पूरे नोबेल प्राइज में, refusal to accept Nobel Prize. More wonderful than getting a Nobel Prize when people refuse to accept it. ऐसे लोगों पे कई सारे नोबेल प्राइज फिदा हूं. You just see refusal. Jean-Paul Sartre, he was from literature. He declined. He has not accepted this Nobel Prize because of, say, different types of those reasons. Similarly, Lu Dok-Tho, he was awarded Nobel Prize for Peace. And the reason which he gave for his refusal was that, no, it has not been established completely so far. Then Egas Moniz and his lobotomy. Egas Moniz was awarded Nobel Prize in, say, medicine in 1949. He gave that technique where this a part of the brain can be removed for treatment of some mental disorders. But he was criticized that by doing so, we can completely change the personality as a whole. So he received criticism. Of course, this has been withdrawn now. Rather, this technique is not being used now. Then Fritz Haber's Nobel Prize in Chemistry. I'm sure we might be having some friends from chemistry. Haber's process of ammonia manufacture. It was a remarkable contribution of Haber, which is used for manufacture of nitrogenous fertilizers. But Haber also gave used chlorine as a chemical weapon. Not only gave chlorine as a chemical weapon, but he defended it. That's why he was criticized and that's why his Nobel Prize was in controversy. That not only he gave chlorine as a chemical weapon, but he also defended it later on. Missing laureates. One of the writers, Geert Lodstedt, he states, Gandhi could do without Nobel Prize. Whether the Nobel Committee could do without Gandhi is the question. Mahatma Gandhi was nominated 5 times for this Nobel Prize. Not nominated, but shortlisted. He was shortlisted 5 times. And there are reports that he was nominated 12 times, but shortlisted 5 times. 2 before World War II and 3 times in 1946, 1947 and 1948. 5 बार उनको शॉर्टलिस्ट किया गया, जबकि कुछ रिपोर्ट्स हैं 12 बार उसको नॉमिनेट किया गया है. And one more thing about these nominations are that, say, for 50 years, after somebody is nominated, for 50 years, you cannot know who has been nominated. 50 साल तक ये सेगाई राज ही रहता है किसको नॉमिनेट किया गया है. And Nobel Prize has not been given during World War, and also specifically in 1948. Also, Nobel Prize has not been given in 1948. And about, there are some reports, the papers which I read for preparing these slides, I saw in some that about Gandhi, this Nobel Prize website, about Gandhi, they write it as missing laureate. And there are many examples. Wright brothers have never been awarded Nobel Prize. and many others in different fields, be it literature, be it peace, physics, chemistry, or medicine. There are many people who have made some remarkable contributions. और कुछ लोग तो बिल्कुल they are after the awards. Some people work and forget. They just derive pleasure out of by reducing or by easing out or by seeing that they are contributing to human welfare. Their work, their research, it contributes to human welfare. They derive pleasure out of it. They don't bother about awards. The outline which we draw here, that also speaks. Even people refuse to accept it. It doesn't matter for them. Some facts about, just for interest of all of us, Nobel Prize, as I told you, it is given in physics, chemistry, physiology, medicine, literature, and peace. Economic science, it's in the honor of Alfred Nobel. Then winner must be alive. One thing has happened in the history of Nobel Prize. Ralph Steen, he just expired just 3 days before that actual ceremony. And it cannot be shared by more than 3 people. Can also be given to organizations, not only to individuals. Nobel Prize can also be given to organizations. And I have example, UN Commission for Refugees. They have, that organization has received Nobel Prize. World Food Program, current year's Nobel Prize has gone to World Food Program. So it can also be given to organizations. And thousands of people are invited to nominate. I can't say that major role is that of only these Scandinavian countries, mainly Norway and Sweden. But there's prominent specific mention of some societies or who can just nominate these, who can invite or who can nominate people for this prize. But people from other organizations, say former laureates, they can also nominate. Thousands of people are invited by Nobel Foundation to nominate people. Then the ceremony for award of Nobel Prize, it's takes place in Stockholm, Sweden. But the Nobel Prize for Peace, it's given in Oslo. Who makes decisions about the award of final decisions? कौन देता है? Royal Swedish Academy, they just decide about the Nobel Prize in physics, chemistry, literature, and economics. Of course, economics is not I told you the background. Physics, chemistry, or literature में Royal Swedish Academy को इख्तियार है to take the final. Karolinska Institute, it's a medical university in Sweden. They make decision about the Nobel Prize in physiology and medicine. Physiology or its literature is in the Royal Swedish Academy. Here it is physiology or medicine. And Norwegian Nobel Committee, they decide about the Nobel Prize in peace. What do the Nobel winners get? A white tie ceremony at Stockholm. I don't know why it is known as tie ceremony, but I have seen the photographs. एक white shirt होती है. What is that which we use in place of tie? जो हम collar पे बांधते हैं. After this, my presentation is over. Kindly let me know what that flower-like structure, just 2 petals, what those 2 petals are known as. White tie ceremony. स्टॉकहोम में 10 दिसंबर को, हर साल 10 दिसंबर को व्हाइट टाई सेरेमनी में इनकी इज्जत, नोबेल लॉरेट्स की इज्जत अफजाई की जाती है. वेयर दे मीट दी स्वीडिश शाही अफराद से उनकी मुलाकात होती है. रॉयल स्वीडिश दे मीट स्वीडिश रॉयल्टी They get a diploma and a heavy gold medal, then document confirming the award money and a lavish dinner. So this was about the presentation. With these words, I thank all of you, particularly the academic staff college director. I suppose Dr. Darzi is still there, and Dr. Geer for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. Over to
Thank
you,
you very
Dr.
much.
Geer and Dr.
Yes.
Shafia.
Thank you very much, sir, for selecting an altogether different topic and an interesting one. In fact, sir, I have received lots of compliments for your talk in the chat box.
Thank
Sir,
you.
at the end of the session, sir, we are supposed to take some questions from the participants.
Sure.
So with your permission, can I take few questions, sir?
Please.
Okay, so participants are requested to kindly raise their hands in case they have a question. Please raise your hands. Just a second.
I think this session was just to stimulate my friends who are on the other side, to stimulate, to learn
Yes,
about
that's
these
right, sir.
sketches, and to stimulate the students also.
Yes, that's right, sir.
Yeah, I think that was my purpose, is that only.
I think there is no question as such.
Ma'am Shafia, can I ask one question?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Sir,
From
thank
Syed
you.
Mudassir, sir. Yes.
No, this is Zubair.
Dr.
Sir,
S.M. Zubair. Assalamu
Yes,
alaikum,
yes.
Zubair Saab.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum
Sir,
salam.
thanks for a wonderful presentation. But in your lecture, you deliberated on that Hitler was just nominated. I
Yeah.
wish to know in which category he was nominated and what was the criteria that was laid down for just nominating him to this highest award.
उसमें जुबैर साहब मैंने कहा ना कि he was nominated, and you just please go through literature pertaining to his nomination.
Fine, sir.
It is reported that somebody had just, it was a mischief, मजाक में किसी ने उसको nominate किया था, and that nomination was later on withdrawn.
Fine.
But of course there are certain other things. Some other people were nominated, and people didn't raise that much hue and cry as it was raised when Adolf Hitler was nominated for Nobel Prize. लेकिन हिटलर की नॉमिनेशन को विड्रा किया गया था लेटर ऑन, और पीस कैटेगरी में उसको नॉमिनेट किया गया था. So you can understand.
So can we say that this awarding Nobel Prize is a sort of prejudiced and biased, like I get to know from your slides, at occasions controversies just surrounding around it. So can we say that it's because of the, like you said, that it's misogynist as well? So can we
Yes,
say
some
that
there are कोई जो दानिशवराना हलकों में इस बात का जिक्र किया जाता है कि खवातीन के खिलाफ कुछ they are prejudiced more towards men. Committee itself, कमेटी पे ये कई सर्कल्स में इल्जाम दिया जाता है.
Fine, sir.
Yeah. And then another controversy is that Eurocentric, यूरोपियंस की तरफ इनका ज्यादा झुकाव है, वो भी एक कंट्रोवर्सी है. Against ladies and more towards Europeans.
Thank you, sir.
Somewhere I had read that not only Hitler but Stalin and Mussolini were also.
Absolutely. That's what I was telling to Zubair Saab. Stalin too was, लेकिन स्टालिन की नॉमिनेशन ने उस पे इतना शोर नहीं मचा था जितना हिटलर की नॉमिनेशन पे मचा था. बल्कि वो भी एक कंट्रोवर्सी है कि अगर उस वक्त इतना शोर मचा, स्टालिन के टाइम पे क्यों नहीं इतना शोर मचा.
Right, sir. Do we have any other question? I have asked all the participants to unmute themselves. Whoever wants to ask a question can unmute.
So there are a few questions in the chat box also.
Yes, Shafia.
So one of the question is from Arshid Jahangir sir. Is there political bias or pressure for awarding Nobel Prize, especially in peace?
It's a politically sensitive question.
We don't know exactly.
probably अल्फ्रेड नोबेल ने शायद कभी तस्वुर भी नहीं किया होगा ना. Just those of you who are more interested in this, जो आखिरी आयाम उसके थे उसके बारे में अगर आप लोग पढ़ लेंगे तो he was more sincere.
Okay, sir.
जो भी वाक़ात उसके साथ पेश आए या जो भी कुछ लोगों ने who influenced, who changed his say bent of mind, तो उन्होंने शायद कभी इस तरह के, and you can see had he been so narrow minded, तो फिर ये प्राइज वहीं नॉर्वे या स्वीडन तक या फिनलैंड इसी खत्ते में ही रहता. बट नो, फॉर इंटरनेशनली अक्लेम्ड साइंटिस्ट रिसर्चर्स के लिए उन्होंने इसको वक्फ किया.
Okay, sir. There is one more question from Syed Mudassir Mushtaq, sir. It is, what about the integrity of this award? It is also reported that private funding has been allowed as Alfred's money is over. Will it be detrimental in deciding the awardee?
No, I suppose it's the proceeds. It is the proceeds of that money which Alfred Nobel had left. Probably इसमें कुछ और भी एडिशंस शायद करने पड़ते हैं. इट्स प्रोबेबली करंटली ये $1 मिलियन के आसपास आज की करेंसी में $1 मिलियन के आसपास ईच नोबेल प्राइज कंप्राइज ऑफ $1 मिलियन. तो बेसिकली जो अल्फ्रेड नोबेल की विल में है वो ये है कि इसके प्रोसीड्स, नॉट द वेल्थ बट इट्स प्रोसीड्स. वो ऐसे ही कोई भी अवार्ड, जब भी कोई साहिब सरवत किसी चीज को वक्फ करता है या किसी दौलत को वक्फ करता है, कोई अमाउंट रखता है, उसकी इंटरेस्ट से जो भी पैसा आता है उसको बांटते हैं. तो इसी तरह से सो वाज ट्रू अबाउट दिस एंडोमेंट आल्सो.
Okay, sir. So one more question from Ajaz Ahmed Dar, sir. It is it biased towards females only, not towards mathematics as well?
This list which we discussed here, physics, chemistry, literature, peace, etc., it's as per Nobel's last wish. Balki Nobel Foundation has been approached many times to include in subjects like mathematics, etc. But they said, no, we cannot make any additions. But yes, there are certain prizes जिनको नोबल के बराबर तस्वुर किया जाता है, like Fields Medal in Mathematics, जिसको has been instituted way back in 1935. 1935 में इसको कायम किया गया है. Am I right? If there is any mathematician, you can correct me. 35 या 45 में इसको कायम किया गया है फील्ड्स मेडल, और तकरीबन उसको नोबेल के हमपल बराबर ही तस्वुर किया जाता है.
Okay, sir. A question from Dr. Firdos. Can we consider it this way, that it maintains the supremacy of West intact?
So there are many genuine those doubts, queries which have been raised so far. जो मैंने अभी आपको बताया, we just quoted example of this physics researcher in 1974. उसके supervisor को मिला, and his another companion and his other co-worker, he got it. But the actual person who discovered, who just gave the concept of, identified these pulsars, they didn't get it. Supremacy, yes, such types of apprehensions, doubts are frequently expressed.
All right, sir. I think we have taken all the questions, Geer, sir.
Yes. We would like to thank Professor Farooq Ahmad Masoodi Saab for this very interesting and very informative lecture. And it was a very pleasant deviation from the usual type of lectures that we generally have in these courses. And as Professor Masudi Saab himself said, that it stimulated a lot of questioning and thinking. And I'm sure this is going to be very inspiring and motivating for the teachers present in this session to learn more and more about these and draw inspiration from these Nobel laureates. I remember, sir, you had also started a program in the university, Know Your Nobel Laureate, and we had a few sessions on that also, which were attended by a huge number of teachers in the university.
You were also in that audience, probably in the front row.
Yes, of course, sir. Definitely. I was also one of the beneficiaries. So we would thank for all these endeavors to enhance the academic stimulating thinking and analytical thinking of the teachers, and to drive them towards such things, which inspire them to work hard and strive more. Many, many thanks to you for sparing time for this lecture and being with us and deliberating on this very informative and very interesting topic. Thank you once again, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.
Dr. Shafia, you may continue with the participant presentations now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Masudi, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shafia. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, dear participants, yes, I would like to invite the first participant of this afternoon session, Dr. Sajad Ahmed Shah. He would be talking on ICT tools for teachers. So, over to Dr. Sajad Ahmed Shah, sir. Sir, are you there? Sajad, sir, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am present.
Okay, sir. Take your time. Doesn't matter.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Screen is quite visible. You are audible as well. Please go ahead.
Esteemed HRDC team, respected participants, Assalamu alaikum, and very good afternoon to all of you. My topic is ICT tools for teachers. All teachers, irrespective of their educational backgrounds, have been using the ICT tools for imparting education among students. And it became mandatory for all the teachers to use Google Classroom, Zoom Cloud app, WebEx meetings, etc. to conduct online classes since from the pandemic. I have made a little effort to introduce you to some other tools which some of you may not have used. First of all, I would like to introduce you to a platform which helps us to have our own website. It's called a Linktree. It takes links only. That's why its name is Linktree. We just open a Linktree. You can Google it. Its URL is linktr.ee. Once we register our particulars by click on the sign up for a free button, then we sign in by clicking on the login button. And after logging in, our website becomes ready. We can copy the URL and share with our students or others we wish. The left-hand side is for the input and the right-hand side is for output. This mobile-like image, which is visible, it is the overview of our website, but it can't take the files directly. We can send the links only. The files need to be stored in some drive. Then the link is entered on the Linktree platform. Every kind of file, that is, whether it is PDF, whether it is a PPT, whether videos or any other format, can be shared, but through links only. We click on add a new link button on the left side and then save the link into our website. Then another tool which I'm going to introduce is Loom. It works on Windows Mac and Linux operating systems, we just go on loom.com, click on Get Loom for Free button. Then we sign up for registering our particulars and then sign in. We can use Loom to record videos with or without PPTs and also with or without voice. It provides us unlimited storage to store our videos. We can create our own folders. We can create a public folder to share with our students. Once we click on record a video button, we get three options. That is camera plus screen, screen only, or camera only. We can record a video on the basis of our choice. Once we click on the start recording button, the recording gets started. Then we click on stop sharing button and the recording gets saved. We don't need any kind of pen drive or any other storage media. And after finishing the recording of our video, we can click on copy link button and share our video with our students. We can even set a password for our video so that only authorized users or our students can watch the video. This Loom also provides us the facility to edit our these videos. Then another tool which I am going to introduce is wheelsofnames.com. It's a gaming tool. We can use it to choose the students randomly. Then we can ask them questions or give them assignments. Students will never know when their name comes. We will either type the names of students or copy from any file and paste the names in the box on the right side of the wheel. We can click on the wheel to spin it or choose a student at random. Then we have some online laboratory tools. We have many interactive simulation tools available that can be used for the benefit of our students. One of them is PhET interactive simulation, which provides us a lot of material for different science subjects. Labster.com is a similar platform to perform virtual lab experiments. Delhi University also provides us a useful platform having URL vle.du.ac.in. Lab.co is also a free platform offered by the government. This platform has been developed by the IITs of the country. Another useful platform for virtual labs is olabs.in. It also provides us a lot of material for different subjects. All these tools can be used to provide a virtual classroom or virtual lab environment to the students. With this, I am concluding my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sajad sir. Thanks a lot for teaching us about these ICT tools. It was a very nice presentation. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Ishtiaq Ahmed sir. He's going to present on a topic, paleoclimate, present is the key to the past. Dr. Ishtiaq Ahmed sir. Dr. Ishtiaq Ahmed. Are you there, sir?
Ishtiaq, I think, is not here. If he is present, please raise your hand.
No, sir, he's not in the list, I think.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you can move on to the next one. Then you can invite Dr. Ishtiaq again.
We do have for today, as I
Dr. Shafia Jan, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Now you are audible. There was some mild disruption.
Okay,
You can
sir.
invite the person by the time Dr. Ishtiaq joins.
Anyone else who would like to deliver may please come forward. So
But
we
I
had
think-
only 7 participants in the list for today, and all of them have been taken, except Dr. Ishtiaq. There's no one else who volunteered for today, sir.
What about Dr. Ejaz of Islamia College?
I have presented already.
Yes, yes.
You
In the
have present-
morning, I guess.
I
Okay,
have
okay.
presented. Nah.
He has
Sir,
presented. We were having
okay.
7 in number total for today.
Right. सुहेल साहब ये डॉक्टर इश्तियाक लिस्ट में नहीं है कौन मुजफ्फर साहब आप बोल रहे थे
इसमें नहीं है सर,
डॉक्टर इश्तियाक अहमद
नहीं सर, नहीं है।
So is there nobody ready to present this time?
I had communicated it in the group also, sir, if somebody would like to present, but
Please.
nobody responded.
Dr. Ayaz, have you presented? Dr. Ayaz.
Dr.
Yes.
Ayaz has also presented last time. He had communicated it to me. If there is one such person with this name.
Would you like to present yourself by any chance, Dr. Shafia?
Sir, I have also presented 2-3 days back.
I remember now.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sir, I have presented.
And I just wanted to utilize this slot.
Yes,
We have,
that's right.
because we
Yes.
have large number of participants and less number of slots. I didn't want to lose these couple of slots. That's why I was requesting some of the participants to come forward and present now.
Even I have been writing it in the group, sir, again and again. I have been requesting them.
But it seems
Since
not many
morning,
ready.
nobody is
Mm,
ready for today, I guess.
we can conclude and we can close the session now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Dr. Raja Nisar Ali, are you ready?
No, sir, no, sir. So, sir, attendance link has not been shared yet.
Yeah, you please wait. That will be shared now. So thank you very much, Dr. Shafia Jan, for moderating the session. And thanks to the presenters also, whoever presented earlier. And many thanks to the speakers also. So it has been overall a good productive day for us. We have learned some new things about the responsible use of medicines, as well as some new information about the controversies surrounding Nobel Prize. So we hope that you have found both the sessions highly beneficial. And thank you for being here. Tomorrow you can join us again at 10 o'clock. Tomorrow we'll again start at 10 o'clock. And we'll start. I would request more number of participants to please be ready for tomorrow. Because like today, we should not have these blank slots. So because we want that more and more participants should get a chance to present. Later on, participants should not complain that I did not get a chance. So this time we had kept an open offer for all the participants to present, but unfortunately nobody came forward. So tomorrow I would request more number of participants to please be ready. Although only 3 or 4 people have given their names so far for tomorrow. For tomorrow, Dr. Arshid Jahangir and for tomorrow, Dr. Tariq Maqbool, Dr. Tariq Ahmad Wani, Dr. Shazia Mushtaq, Dr. Tanveer Ali, and Dr. Muzammil Ahmad. So I think few more participants can give their names for tomorrow's session, so that more number of participants could be covered. I would request the participants to give their names in the WhatsApp group so that they can also be covered tomorrow. We
Sir, I
need
think there is, sir, there is somebody who would like to present, as I could read it out from the chat box. Dr.
Yeah, who
Riaz
is-
Dar.
Dr. Riaz, if you are ready, please start your presentation now. Let me, I think you will be in a position to unmute yourself, or let me ask you to unmute yourself. Dr. Riaz Dar, I'm asking you to unmute yourself. Can you present now?
Okay, sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Now, please go ahead.
So basically, I earlier, had a chart, but in between I got disconnected. So I'm sorry for that. In fact, when you were calling name, so I just, sent you a message that I'm going to present.
Yeah, I didn't check my phone. Sorry. Yes, please go ahead. You can
So,
present now.
is my this slide visible?
Yeah, please put on the slide. So yeah, now it is on. You can go ahead. Continue.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'm Riaz Ahmed from Department of Earth Sciences. On a very short notice, I grabbed this opportunity to present my, this simple topic on the earthquakes and then how we are able to locate and, this epicenter. Taking this opportunity because recently we had a very beautiful talk on the earthquakes regarding the earthquakes, and there was one more participant, Dr. Ejasa, who also talked about these plates, how plates move, how earthquakes are generated. So that has made my this talk very simple. I think most of the participants would enjoy how we look at an earth this epicenter.
Dr. Riaz, can you hear? Suhail Saab, please meanwhile put the link for attendance.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Riaz Saab, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself.
Sir, I think he has got disconnected, but we should wait for him. Maybe he's reconnecting.
He's here in the group. His name is there. Yeah, I think he has got connected back. Riaz Saab, can you hear me? There is probably network is very poor from his end. That's why he's not able to. Yeah, he's sharing his screen. But the network seems to be very poor from your side, Riyaz Saab.
Yes, Gir sir.
Hello.
Yes, Riyaz Saab, please continue.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I got disconnected. I'm very sorry. So I was talking about these takeaway points. One important thing is that when earthquakes occur, so it is the rocks when they slip along a particular fault or particular weak zone. So then that displacement generates these earthquakes. One more thing about these faults, earthquakes, is that faults are, there are different types of faults. Faults are classified by the kind of moment. Sometimes there is downward movement, sometimes there is upward movement, sometimes there is, sidewards movement. So accordingly, we have different types of faults. And one more thing is that earthquakes do not kill people.
Yes, Gir sir.
Yes.
There is one more candidate who would like to deliver.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Uh,
What is the name of the
Dr. Shaukat Ahmed. Are you
Yes,
there,
yes.
sir? Dr. Shaukat?
Maybe he's mute. I'll ask him to unmute. Dr. Shaukat, please unmute yourself. Do you mean to say Dr. Shaukat Subhan Mir?
It's written here, Dr. Shaukat Ahmed. In the chat box, he has written.
Okay, I'm asking Dr. Shaukat Subhan to unmute.
Dr. Shaukat Ahmed.
Ahmed Pala. I'm asking all the participants to unmute. Whoever wants to present, may please unmute. Yes, Dr.
Yes.
Shaukat Subhan. Please unmute yourself, Dr. Shaukat
Sir, I have
Subhan.
already presented.
Okay.
Dr. Shaukat Subhan.
Then who is the other? Dr. Shaukat Ahmed, right?
Dr. Shaukat Subhan has presented, sir.
Dr.
Okay.
Shaukat Ahmed.
In Shaukat Subhan, Dr. Shaukat Subhan, I have presented mine.
He has already presented.
No, we are asking Dr. Shaukat Ahmed to present.
He will be different one.
Okay, sir.
He's there. Dr. Shaukat Ahmed, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I'm about to share my screen.
Hello?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Please
Is the
put on
screen visible, sir?
screen
Yeah,
is visible. Yeah, please put on the slideshow.
Assalamu alaikum, HRDC team, and a very good afternoon to all. I am Shaukat Ahmed. From Women's College, Baramulla. I'll be talking about the global solidarity, shared responsibility. The world has been facing major health issues for several years, and the whole community, the whole world is actually facing huge crisis as far as the health sector is concerned. We have now three important terms here. The one is the major health issues, the implications, and the global solidarity. The biggest problem the world has ever faced, the lifelong disease, that's the tuberculosis, which is a global pandemic, killing someone approximately every 22 seconds. About 1.4 million in 2019 alone. World Health Organization estimates about 1.8 billion people, close to 1/4 of the world's population, are infected with Mycobacterium tuberculosis. This is the bacteria that causes TB, and last year 10 million fell ill from TB and about 1.4 million died. As we all know, TB is an airborne disease spreading by coughing or sneezing, and the leading cause of infectious disease worldwide, and is responsible for economic devastation, cycle of poverty and illness that entraps families, communities, and even entire countries. The most vulnerable are women, children, and those with HIV/AIDS. That's immunologically privileged people are most affected. And there is a growing resistance to available drugs, which means the disease is becoming more deadly and difficult to treat. There were more than 500,000 cases of drug-resistant TB last year. Despite advances in the scientific understanding of the AIDS and its prevention and treatment, as well as years of significant effort by the global health community and leading government and civil society organizations, too many people with HIV or at risk for HIV still do not have access to prevention care and treatment. HIV epidemic not only affects the health of individuals, it also impacts households, communities, and the development and economic growth of nations. Hardest hit countries by HIV, they suffer from other infectious diseases as well. As we know, the people who are immunologically privileged, they usually suffer from other disease as well, and usually succumb because of those secondary infections. About 12.6 million people living with HIV still do not have access to HIV treatment, as said. The new global efforts have been mounted to address the epidemic, particularly in the last decade, and the number of people with new AIDS infections has declined over the years. This is a little bit progress that has been made. In addition, the number of people with AIDS receiving treatment in resource-poor countries has dramatically increased in the past decade, and dramatic progress has been made in preventing mother-to-child transmission of AIDS. An estimated 1.7 million individuals worldwide acquired AIDS in 2019, marking a 23% decline in new infections since 2010. And new HIV infections, known as the HIV incidence, refers to the estimated number of people who newly acquired the HIV virus during the given period, such as a year. Another deadly disease that is still prevailing and the world has been facing for more than a year, that's very dangerous. That's COVID-19, an infectious disease caused by the coronavirus. Most people who suffer from this virus, they have mild to moderate respiratory illnesses. They recover without requiring special treatment. Older people with other medical problems, they usually have serious illnesses. Persons who suffer from cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, chronic respiratory disease, and cancer, they are more likely to develop serious illness as a result of COVID-19. Now, the best way to treatment and slow down the transmission is to be well informed about COVID-19 virus. The very important thing we must know, how can we prevent this? We must be very much aware about how it is transmitted, how the disease is spread. So we must protect ourselves and others from infection by washing hands, as is being said by the experts, using an alcohol-based drop frequently, not touching your face and all that. COVID-19 virus spread is primarily through droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose when an infected person coughs or sneezes. So we must have respiratory etiquettes so that we can save ourselves and others from this disease. As far as economy of India is concerned, in 2020, it has declined drastically. Now, the combination of the two, TB and HIV, it's a dual epidemic, which is a deadly duo rather, and this AIDS weakens people's immune system, allowing TB to flourish. So TB being the leading killer of people with AIDS, climbing over 1 in 4 lives of people with HIV. And in countries where TB is prevalent, people with AIDS are 20 times more likely to contract TB than others without HIV. Despite enormous gains made in battling HIV epidemic, TB's deadly synergy with HIV/AIDS threatens to destabilize gains in TB control. While people are living with HIV, they are now dying of TB. Since these are the more deadly diseases that the world has been facing, so what we can contribute, since it is a pandemic, it's threatening lives, it's claiming millions of lives, millions have already died. What can we do? So we must, at least do not show a cold shoulder, rather we must show sympathy and we must contribute as far as we can. So there is a major theme now, that's the global solidarity. Since we have been facing this global crisis, it's a human crisis. COVID-19 is attacking societies at core. According to UN, world has entered a recession. In the face of such an unprecedented situation in recent history, creativity of the response must match the unique nature of the crisis, because no country alone is in a position to exit this crisis alone. So immediate health response is required now to suppress transmission of the virus to end the pandemic. And it's a call to focus on people, women, youth, low-wage workers, small and medium enterprises, the informal sector, and on vulnerable groups who are already at risk. So countries must scale up the actions to prevent these pandemics to go on. So they must prepare, they must be ready, especially for those countries who have no or sporadic cases. So test and detect all suspected cases as rapidly as possible. This is the very important countries, the major countries must take. This is vital to ensure the possibility of suppressing transmission and to optimize life-saving actions. Introduce measures such as quarantine, strictly restricting the movement of people that is going on, reducing person-to-person contact, overall via work and school measures. Schools have already been closed. Physical distancing has been going on. Educating communities about reducing spread through hand washing. Providing safe and effective clinical care to effectively isolate all cases, COVID cases. We must share knowledge, develop and distribute diagnostics and drugs and vaccines. It's crucial to learn from other countries, constantly assess and regularly update national strategies and guidelines to new knowledge. We must take into full account and countries must take into full account on a broader scale the differentiated impacts on segments of the population. They must sustain the gains of health systems, including the eradication of polio and high immunization rates to prevent measles, polio, and cholera. So the world is in urgent need of a common vision and plan of action for leveraging the latest advances in scientific research. Leadership of the science and technology sector is essential to defeating this pandemic and mitigating its potential impacts on achieving of the SDGs. Normative frameworks for open science are needed. Regulatory agencies should work together to remove hurdles for vaccines development. So what are the sustainable solutions to cope with the impacts? Keeping all people, households and business afloat is the main objective. Families must be taken into consideration. Women, children, as I told you, the more who are immunologically privileged, they must be taken care of first. Important steps have already been taken in this direction. Economic policy should meet people's most immediate health, food, and other basic needs. There's a sense of urgency must prevail. Specific measures are needed at different levels. International organizations, financial institutions, and leadership groups all have levers that must be activated to full effect and in a coordinated manner. So national solidarity is crucial to leave no one behind. What can we do? We must provide assistance to individuals who are hit hardest by the spread of the virus. Measures may include a variety of means to preserve access to health and basic living conditions. Cash transfers during the pandemic will help people to get through an inevitable recession. Social protection, including paid sick leave, saves lives and alleviates human suffering. More than 1.5 billion young people, or 87% of the world's student population, are kept away from schools and universities in more than 165 countries. Young people are particularly at risk of increased anxiety and mental health concerns. So young women and girls are at higher risk of intimate partner violence and other forms of domestic violence during the pandemic. In UK, the 2008 crisis, because of that, unemployment was over to 21%, around 18% in US, in Italy, 43% in 2014. So the expansion of the gig economy that was resulted because of the temporary positions since 2008 has further increased youth vulnerabilities. So young people all over the world are joining now the global response against COVID-19 in many ways. They are running awareness campaigns, hand washing campaigns, volunteering to support the elderly and vulnerable populations, contributing as scientists and innovators. Since schools have been closed, no formal education is going on, offline education is going on. So what can we do? It's crucial that the international community must support governments not only in providing distance learning solutions that use multimedia approach to ensure learning continuity, but also in supporting teachers, parents, and caregivers in adapting to homeschooling modalities. Let me curtail it. Distance education through provision of internet connection, public-private partnerships to make platforms and tools for distance learning available free of charge, public and private efforts to guarantee and expand the capacity of networks and prevent demand surge. Digital learning resources for teachers and parents must go on. We must publicize country efforts to maintain the provision of inclusive education in different contexts. If schools are open, ensure that social distancing measures, hygiene, and food safety and quality standards are followed. If schools are closed, every kind of assistance should be provided to the students. So we hope that the world will emerge from this crisis with a renewed commitment to aggressively anticipate and address global health threats and pandemics. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaukat sir. We really appreciate your efforts for volunteering, although it was not your turn for presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So dear participants, with this, we have come to an end of this session. So over to Geer sir. Maybe he would like to add few words.
I have nothing more to add. A very nice presentation by Dr. Shaukat Saab. And thanks for chipping in at the right time so we could continue up to our slotted time. And many thanks to all the participants for staying back with us and attending the session right up till 4 o'clock. So thanks to Shafia Jan also for your moderation. So many thanks to all of you. Tomorrow we'll meet again at 10. Thank you. Bye. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.